given, that's how we live it. Don't be mad at the system, it's simply how we've existed. I hear a lot of people talking like they politicians and choose to be an accountant because it's safe.
Hello and welcome to Seek Truth, Speak Truth. Good day to you all. I hope you are enjoying your day on this lovely rotating oblate spheroid. Woo! A commenter of mine has just given me the information that Mr. Eric Dubay has released another video. It's 12 minutes long, and I'm going to do a reaction and debunk to his video as we go along. So yeah, in my eyes, Eric Dubay is one of the flat earthers that does know we live on a globe, and he knows exactly the language to use to dupe you into a belief that he is the one telling the correct information. This is all about psychology. The earth isn't flat. It is your mind that is stopping you from understanding what actual facts and proofs are. You are stuck and caught within a belief system. And I'm going to go through Eric's video and just to show you exactly what he does, exactly what he says. He knows damn well most of what he says has been debunked. It was debunked years ago by multiple channels. I'm just adding more fuel to the fire and to show you guys how wrong Eric Dubay actually is. Let's do it.
You asked the question, what are some of the easiest ways that you can prove that the Earth is round? Because apparently this is something that we're debating. I have no idea why. That's a hard thing for me to even start talking about because there are so many proofs that the Earth is round, it's difficult to know where to start. And it's not okay to think that the Earth is flat. This is not a viable argument.
To begin with, if you truly believe the Earth to be a triangle or a dodecahedron, that is most certainly okay, and you're right to do so. We all have the right to our own thoughts, beliefs, experience, intuitions, and discernment, regardless of how common or widely accepted they are. Telling people
So why aren't people allowed to believe in the globe, Eric? That's a bit contradicting of yourself there. The reason she says that is because globe Earth is a fact, an actual fact that we can confirm. That's why she's saying it's not okay. I myself, if you believe in a God or whatever, that doesn't matter. I cannot prove to you there is no God, but I can prove to you that the Earth is not flat. How big is America? This is a case of how far away the camera is from the object. Wolfie did a good video where using the exact same globe, took a photo from say 3 feet away and then one from a foot away. Lo and behold, America looks a lot bigger than it did in the previous photo. That one's debunked, Eric, I'm sorry.
Front that having an alternative perspective from yours is, quote, not okay, is incredibly narcissistic, abusive, and an attempt to infantilize the listener into accepting the fallacy of appeal to authority. It is absolutely okay to question the shape of the Earth. In fact, the scientific method itself requires...
And again, this one's been debunked. There is no square there. That was never a NASA photo. That was made up by a flat earther. Would you believe?
Constant questioning and experimentation to reach increasingly precise conclusions. Once a scientific postulate becomes solidified into an unquestionable dogma, it becomes religion.
And again, the copy and pasting, yes, that did happen. That was when the satellites were doing a wraparound, and then there was just certain areas where the camera didn't quite meet, and they had to fill in some blanks with some clouds. Whoop-de-doo.
Not science. And people demanding your allegiance to their dogma, like Michelle here, are acting far more like evangelical priests than true.
What's your dogma, Eric? What are you trying to push people towards? A belief? You're good at twisting words.
Scientists. NASA themselves have already changed the alleged shape of the Earth thrice in their short history, first telling us we...
And this is called learning as you go on. Neil deGrasse Tyson should have never said pear-shaped. The Earth is nowhere near pear-shaped. He was just trying to oversimplify things and actually made it sound even more stupid. Neil deGrasse Tyson is a science communicator trying to speak in terms that help normal-minded people like me understand, but I think he went a bit overboard there when he said pear-shaped. No one thinks the Earth is pear-shaped.
Lived on a perfect sphere, then changing the shape into an oblate spheroid flattened at the poles, then changing again to...
Even if it is an oblate spheroid, again, it is tiny. You couldn't even tell from a photo. The Earth, magnified down to the size of a snooker ball, would be more perfectly spherical than a snooker ball.
A pear-shaped spheroid bulging out in the southern hemisphere.
I have friends who have been on the International Space Station. They have orbited the Earth once every 90 minutes. You know, I've had personal experience with people that have been up in space and can see with their own eyes that the Earth is round. And of course, we've taken all these amazing pictures from space. They're so beautiful, all those pictures of the Earth. So I don't really know what's going on right now with this Earth is flat thing.
Here, Michelle condescendingly delivers two more examples of sophistry, namely hearsay and another appeal to authority. Because she has some fellow Freemason Eastern Star actor-not friends who claim the Earth is a spinning ball, Michelle wants us to accept that kind of second-hand hearsay as scientific proof. Then she laughs and talks about pictures. Pictures like these, you mean? And these? Michelle was directly...
Oh no, space bubbles. How many times has this been debunked? These are sort of formulations of particles, I believe it might be ice, that when they do their spacewalks, they get disturbed and fall off the ISS. If it were bubbles, they would always all travel upwards, because you obviously think that it's being filmed in water. Bubbles always travel upwards. They might, move sideways a bit, but they will arc upwards straight away, never going sideways or down, which you see very often. You never ever see a bubble go sideways or down in water.
Asked for scientific proofs of her claim, and the first two she gives are because other people say so, and because there's pictures. Well, Michelle, I know you already know this, but people can lie. Pictures can be faked, and neither of those are permissible.
People can lie. Yes, they can, Eric. Yes, they can. How you sleep at night, I don't know.
Scientific evidence. So why are you dancing around?
And another point here, obviously you can see how bubbles are reacting in water. This was FTFE that brought this one up. When they are in water, the astronauts, their heads look a lot smaller than when they're actually doing their spacewalks. You can see their head in full size. So that does confirm that when they're doing their spacewalks, they are not underwater. I think it is actually refraction, or obviously something to do with being in water, that kind of makes the astronaut's face look a lot smaller than it actually is. So astronauts being underwater debunked there by FTFE. Thank you.
The question with sophistry and condescension instead of just providing actual proof of your claim.
There are proofs all around you. It is not difficult to know that the Earth is round. In fact, people have known this for way more than 2,000 years. The ancient Greeks actually had a number of really elegant, wonderful proofs that the Earth was a sphere. One of the things you can see yourself with a pair of binoculars is if you actually go out to a lake and there are boats on that lake, the farther away a boat is, the more the bottom of the boat will disappear, and you'll basically just see the mast of the boat. And as a boat goes farther and farther away, the last thing you will see is the very top of the mast of that.
I like that point there, what she's brought up. And I'd like to see more photos like this, where literally the last thing you see is the top of the mast. It might be like the top 3 or 4 feet of the mast. That mast might be 30, 40 feet high. There is no way anything other than curvature is hiding the rest of that ship.
Boat. And that's because the boat is actually going over the horizon that's curved.
So once she finally gets around to her 3 supposed scientific proofs of a ball Earth, they are all from ancient Greek astronomers who have been debunked since the time they were presented, even way back then.
She's only bringing that up just to show how long it has been that we do know we live on a globe.
Her first is the dinosaur claim that ships disappearing beyond the horizon hull first somehow prove the Earth to be a globe. The fact of the matter is that the law of perspective on plane surfaces dictates and necessitates this occurrence. For example, a girl wearing a dress walking away towards the horizon will appear to sink into the Earth the farther away she walks. Her feet will disappear from view first, and the distance between the ground and the bottom of her dress will gradually diminish until after about half a mile.
I don't like that photo that you showed there, and we have no way of knowing whether that ground was a sort of flat surface. I am going to call out that there is a large hill there or a mound. Nothing would start disappearing that much on a completely flat surface there. There's no proof of anything you've got there, I'm afraid.
It seems like her dress is touching the ground as she walks on invisible legs. The same happens with cars speeding away. The axles gradually get lower, and the wheels vanish until it appears as if the car is gliding along its body. Such is the case on plane surfaces. The lowest parts of objects receding from a given point of observation necessarily disappear before the highest. Now, with modern telescopes and cameras, we can prove this as well by successfully zooming in on ships that have gone beyond the horizon and bringing them completely back into full view.
They haven't gone beyond the horizon, they've gone beyond how far your eyes can see and resolve. If they'd gone behind the horizon, you would never be able to zoom them back, would you?
Hull and all.
Now, another way that you can tell that we're on a sphere is to think about how there's something called the tropics on the Earth. And the tropics are places near the equator of the Earth where sometimes the sun is overhead in the sky. And this was actually something that the Greeks used not only to prove that the Earth was round about 2,000 years ago, but they actually measured the circumference of the Earth accurate to within just a couple percent. There was a really brilliant Greek scientist called Eratosthenes, and Eratosthenes noticed that there was a town called Syene, and on a certain date, the sun would actually shine straight down to the bottom of a well. That meant the sun was directly overhead. You could look down a well and see the sun shining back at you. And on the very same date, farther away in the city of Alexandria, that didn't happen. The sun was not directly overhead. It was a slight angle. And all that Eratosthenes did was he measured the difference in the angle of the sun. And he rationed that that change in angle from one city to another was probably indicative of us being on a curved surface. So another really simple proof is that on any given date, at different cities and different places around the world, the sun is at different angles in the sky. That wouldn't happen if the Earth wasn't round.
For her second supposed proof, Michelle tells the story of Eratosthenes, who noted that at noon during the summer solstice in Syene, the sun cast no shadow, and the rays could reach straight to the bottom of his well. Yet meanwhile, in Alexandria, a vertically standing metal rod cast a significant shadow. By fact,
2 sticks, yes, can still work on a flat Earth. University students on the equinoxes every single year do this all over the globe. Some of the experiments are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of miles apart, all dotted around the globe. That experiment would be impossible if the Earth was flat with a local sun. Are you saying that all of these university students all are either faking it or they're too stupid to work it out? I'll let you work that out, Eric.
during the length of the shadow with his assumed distance to the sun, Eratosthenes recorded a measurement of Earth's circumference close to what heliocentrist astronomers still use today. The fact of the matter is, however, that Eratosthenes' calculations were made assuming the sun to be millions of miles away, so that its rays would fall perfectly.
Perspective here, Eric. Perspective. This is nothing more than straight lines. They are literally straight lines, but due to how far the distance is between the ground and the clouds, it looks curved.
Parallel, even in points as divergent as Cyan and Alexandria. This faulty assumed premise led to his faulty conclusion, which was eventually exposed upon the invention of the nautical sextant. Using sextants and plane trigonometry, by measuring the sun's angle at 2 points on Earth simultaneously and factoring their distance from each other, the Pythagorean theorem reveals both the height and dimensions of the sun. Using this method, the sun and moon have repeatedly been calculated to be approximately 32 miles in diameter, 3,000 miles from the surface of the Earth. High altitude.
Oh, so we have a confirmation there actually of how far the sun is, 3,000 miles from the Earth's surface. So if we are on a flat planet, how on earth do we ever get a night time? Even if I was standing here and the sun was 3,000 miles up here, I would still see daylight.
Moon footage has also filmed lighting hotspots on clouds, proving the sun to be local and acting as a spotlight, and not a burning ball of gas.
And what these are, it's been confirmed, there would be a lake underneath that cloud. So basically it's the reflection of the sun coming back up off a lake or a body of water. That's what it is, I'm afraid.
Millions of miles away, as supposed by heliocentrists. After Eratosthenes, the globe Earth theory completely disappeared from philosophical thought and recorded history for almost 2 millennia. Geocentric flat Earth cosmologies continued to reign supreme, with even Eratosthenes himself, touted as the father of geography, depicting the Earth as flat in his famous 194 BC map of the world.
It's just because paper's flat. That doesn't look like a very accurate map, does it?
Then there are some other proofs that are a little more obscure, but they're actually really lovely. And one is to observe what happens during a lunar eclipse. Now, a lunar eclipse happens when the Earth casts a shadow on the moon. What's happening in that case is that the sun is on one side of the Earth is in the middle, and it's casting a shadow. The Earth is casting a shadow on the moon. And as the shadow moves across the moon, you'll notice that the shadow is curved, it's round. So something like the sun that's bigger than the Earth and is able to cast a shadow of the Earth on the moon can actually show you the shape of the Earth.
Her final and most ridiculous supposed proof of the shape of the Earth beneath our feet is accomplished by looking at a light in the sky. That's right. When you ask scientists for empirical, measurable proof of the shape of the Earth beneath...
Oh, I hate that one. These pool balls are spheres, the table must be a sphere too. I used to push this, and it's just such a stupid way of thinking. It just does not make sense. Yes, you've put the Earth at the centre of the universe, so you think, oh yeah, we can be flat, we're the middle of everything. But we're not. It's been confirmed time and time again that we circle the sun, and the sun itself is travelling. The sun is a star. We're nowhere near the centre of the universe. We're just a mere speck within it.
Our feet, they inevitably turn their noses up to the sky and start talking about the shape of things up there. Imagine inviting a contractor over to your house to measure the dimensions of your floor, and he immediately gets out his tape measure and starts measuring all the recessed lights in the ceiling. To this day, heliocentrists still offer this argument as proof of a spherical Earth, claiming that during lunar eclipses, the sun, Earth, and moon align in a perfect 180-degree syzygy like 3 billiard balls, causing the sun to cast the Earth's shadow onto the moon. This clever but faulty assumption is rendered completely invalid, however, due to the fact that lunar eclipses have happened and continue to happen regularly when both the sun and moon are still visible together above the horizon. As early as the time of Pliny the Elder, there are records of eclipses.
I personally couldn't see the sun there. It's obviously sort of residual light. I don't know if that's really the word to use, but and I know there will be observations where you actually could see the sun. This is a common phenomena, already known people know when this is going to happen, and it matches our heliocentric reality perfectly. Why can we predict it? Why do we know when it's going to happen and where? And why can't you see it all over the globe? It's only in specific places, and it is refraction.
Is happening while both the sun and moon were visible in the sky and continue to be recorded by the Royal Astronomical Society today.
So why do you quote the Royal Astronomical Society there? Like, why would they be recording this if it proves that the Earth isn't a globe? It just doesn't make sense how you've explained that, Eric. It's well known why this phenomena happens.
Obviously, if the sun and moon are both observable simultaneously during an eclipse, then they are not aligned in 180-degree syzygy, and it is therefore impossible that the sun could be casting Earth's shadow on the moon, and some other explanation must be sought. Another explanation, in fact, already existed in many cultures around the world, who posited that a third celestial body, known as Rahu, or the Black Sun, also existed, equal in size to the sun and moon. This translucent dark body passed affront the sun and moon during eclipses.
How can something be a translucent dark body? Do you not understand how stupid that sounds? Something that can block light, but you can see through it?
Their lights to dim. But regardless of what causes the moon's lights to dim during lunar eclipses, it has absolutely nothing to do with offering scientific proof of the shape of the Earth.
So people have known that the Earth is spherical for thousands of years. It's not okay to say that the Earth is flat. This is some sort of strange denial. I don't know where it comes from. And it's something where I keep getting this question. We really need to put this question to bed because we've known the Earth is a sphere for a long time. I actually said this to somebody. I couldn't believe they'd never thought of it. That, with binoculars, you can see planets. You can see Saturn and Jupiter. You can see Mars with a telescope, the sun, the moon. Everything else you see in the solar system is a sphere. So we're the one thing that is different. And that actually made somebody who was more interested in actually hearing information. That actually got them to think. They're like, you're right. Everything else we take a picture of is a sphere.
And again with the appeal to the sky fallacy.
The appeal to the sky fallacy. What on earth even is that? You are making up words, Eric. We're appealing to the sky because it is a good piece of evidence that where we stand ourselves is quite similar to what's up above.
The only place we see spheres in the sky is NASA's CGI photos and videos. When amateur...
I hate these pictures here. They're just out of focus shots from, say, P900s or whatever. Those things are not even designed to be taking images of stars and planets. So what you can see there is just basically the light that they can resolve. I'm going to show you a subscriber of mine who is an amateur astrophotographer, and the pictures he gets are nothing like this, and I can assure you he does not work for NASA.
Astronomers photograph and record the stars and planets. Here is what we see. Are these spheres? Are these spheres? And even if they were spheres, what on earth does that have to do with the shape of the Earth?
It has everything to do with the shape of the Earth. That is why you tell people you can't look up, because it is the easiest way to prove that we live on a globe. That's how I worked out when Mr. Conspiracy Cats told me about moon phases and how they're impossible if the Earth was flat. I'm going to show you IB Hunter, and go and give him a subscribe. He comes up with some brilliant pictures of space, and they are nothing like what Eric just suggested an amateur will show you. You can clearly see that these are spherical, three-dimensional objects up in our skies. We are not the centre of the universe. It has been confirmed. You can confirm it yourself with a simple telescope and a mind. You can do it if you want to. If you want to stay flat earth and ignorant, please do so. We're in 2020, and there are a lot other things you could be wasting your time on than a fairy tale belief in a flat planet. Right, IB Hunter, go and give him a subscribe. Keep safe, keep it spherical, and keep coming back.
Given, that's how we live it. Don't be mad at the system, it's simply how we've existed. I hear a lot of people talking like they politicians and choose to be an accountant because it's safe.